Welcome back. You're watching Metropole Television. My name is Elijah Charles Kiage. This is your official sector trends this morning. Let's delve into issues tax, but most importantly, let's start reminding you early on why you need to start filing your tax. This is a conversation that we need to talk about right now. All right, back to another tax filing year, and the taxman is keen on reminding us or you in advance to return their files, that is your file returns. Taking us through this process and to explain how and why it's important to do it now than later, we're joined by Stephen Mwaniki, who is a tax expert at the Kenya Revenue Authority. Stephen, good morning, sir.
Good morning too.
How are you doing? Welcome to Metropole Television.
I am well, thank you for the warm welcome.
Fantastic.
Yes.
So let's go back a little bit. Most of the employers right now, if you're employed by a specific company, in one way or another, by now, you have your P9 form that is seated with you in your email, waiting to be acted upon to help you file your tax returns. Yes. Why are we talking about that right now as opposed to us waiting up to June and then after that, that's when we file?
Basically, filing of returns is a critical aspect in KRA. It shows that one, your employer
yes.
has deducted what is rightfully, and we use that information to actually know if you as an employee, if you have other sources of income that maybe we may need to actually declare. Yes. But the whole aspect of filing of returns is to ensure that you as a Kenyan, it is your duty, it is your responsibility to ensure that you remit your taxes.
Fantastic. So it means that at any time that you receive that P9 form, the KRA portal is open for you to go in and file your returns. Is that what it means?
Yes, the portal is open.
Yes.
Like we are now in 2022, we'll be expecting every resident individual that maybe has had any income to declare as from 1st of 2021 to 31st of December to now declare to the commissioner before 30th of June the taxes that
yes.
are due.
Yes.
Yes, and before, after time elapses, of course, there'll be penalties and interest.
That's exactly what I wanted us to talk about, because we have to talk about that as well.
Yes.
Just before we get into the penalties and the interest on penalties accrued, so let's talk about why it's important to start filing now. And I'm asking this question because KRA has already told us you don't need to worry. Anytime you get your P9 form, you can go online to the portal. The portal is quite advanced. You can go in, apply. There are no down times, just like we used to expect when you guys started that portal. Sometimes you will log in and then there's a whole entire downtime when many people are trying to file. Why start now, essentially? Could we do that civic education?
Yeah, what we are trying to emphasize is as when you file your taxes early,
yes.
there is room for you to actually get to know any other information that may have occurred after filing.
Oh, after filing.
So it is important to actually file so that if you have any other concerns, you can actually raise them before
yes.
time
yes.
elapses.
I see that.
Yeah.
As opposed to rushing into the deadline. Within that deadline, you might not really have time to even change
yes.
your filing that you've already done.
Yes.
Fantastic. All right. So let's talk about the penalties again. And I want to start from this very important perspective. When you look at the people who were penalized last year and the year before last year, would you say that with this drive that you're already pushing out here on the importance of filing your returns a bit earlier, would you say that indeed that is working, going by the number of people who are being penalized last year, which compared to the year before last year? Would you say that?
Yes, means that when we encourage people to file early, means that we have more on-time filers.
Yes.
And this will actually reduce the debt that will be incurred after 30th of June.
Yes.
So if you realize that in the month of August, when we had the mobile tax unit, the mashinani bus, we would go to every region to sensitize our taxpayers the need for you to file that return early enough, so that before 30th of June, you do not congest our systems.
Isn't it? You know, despite the fact that you're quite sure that it's going to work, isn't it?
Yes.
And when you look at the number of deadline day applicants vis-a-vis other years, would you say that we're reducing that deadline day application?
Yes. We are having actually a positive rate of actually on-time filing, which actually makes our work easy.
Yes.
Yes.
Fantastic. So let's talk about the penalties then, because there are a lot of other issues that we can talk about, that we're going to talk about this morning, especially when it comes to filing of those returns. If I do not file by deadline day, which is 30th of June, 2022, sorry, which will reflect my tax for 2021.
Yes.
What penalties do I accrue specifically?
Allow me to start now with the individuals.
Yes.
Those that are actually filing their individual income. You'll actually, if you file after 30th of June, there is a penalty of 2,000.
Let's be specific.
Or 5%
yes.
of the taxes.
Of the tax.
Yes.
Or whatever is more.
Whichever is higher.
Oh, that's what I was waiting for, Stephen.
Yes.
Hold on. So it's possible that you can still file. So the portal doesn't lock you out that you cannot completely file.
Yes.
Just that after you file, before you're done, they would ask you for the penalty.
Yes.
Which you pay before then your filing is complete.
You actually file and then pay after.
After filing, yes.
If you file after, the system will actually impose a penalty after the late filing.
I see.
Yeah.
That is any other day after 30th of June.
Yes.
Do we have a lease period? We'll say maybe 30 minutes, 1 hour into the 1st of July?
That is why we always emphasize
on starting early.
It is in our manuals that file and pay before 30th of June.
So there is
no leeway.
There's no leeway.
Yes.
I get that, but I get this question. Who can qualify for this leeway? There has to be a qualification. But I spoke to some of your officials, was it last year, when we just starting the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, they said that if you can actually prove that indeed within that period when you're supposed to file your tax returns, maybe in the last 1 week or the last 1 month, you are in isolation, then indeed you can qualify for that leeway that you're given maybe 1 month or 1 week after without attracting that penalty. Is that still open? Do I have to prove beyond doubt that within that period when I was supposed to file my returns, I could not be able to?
What we usually encourage is that if there's any incident or any eventuality that may occur, that maybe will delay you in filing that return on time, do it early.
I like the way you say
ensure that by 30th of June, all your considerations have been met.
Yes.
Yes.
So no leeway at all.
We try as much as to avoid that leeway.
I see that. Now, another question as well. Are the penalties similar? Because we started from individual. Now, for those ones who are not individuals, what penalties do they attract?
For companies, it's 20,000 when you submit your return late.
Yes.
Yes. Or 5% of taxes, whichever is higher.
Pretty much.
Yes.
But for companies, is it a bit different because companies would like to think that the financial years would also start at a different date than the 30 June 20?
Okay, for companies, it is usually 6 months after their accounting period.
I see.
Because most companies, their accounting period would be different from now an individual. Like for all individuals, we usually follow the calendar year. So you check your PIN, you realize your accounting period starts from 1st of January to 31st of December.
Yes.
That is why we recommend that now you file between January and June the following year.
Pretty much.
Yes.
All right. Got another question as well under that same filing as well. And this is a question that we kept on getting from time to time. Maybe I get a different answer from you this time as well. Now, we've got our audience that says filing has been made quite easy. But when it comes to tax refunds, that's where there's an uphill task. Would you like to defend or confirm these comments from some of our audiences?
Basically, for a refund, one, you may need to apply. You actually lodge that application after you have actually completed the tax cycle.
Yes, yes.
One, you register as a taxpayer, you file your returns, you pay all taxes that fall due, then matters arising.
Yes.
Now that is when, now after you've completed the tax cycle, it's when now you can apply for a refund. And basically, refund takes a while because an audit has to be done to ascertain if the refund can be granted.
I see.
Because there are very many situations that may lead a refund not to be granted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Under what instances are those that would lead to a refund not being granted, especially for individual tax filings?
Well, like for example, if you've maybe worked for less than 6 months,
yes,
you may not qualify for that refund because the system works on a graduated scale.
I see. I see.
So you, upon filing, it will actually the result, it will actually put you into a credit position, but that doesn't justify it is a genuine refund.
I see.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, let's move into another area as well. Now, this is a question I think you've run into as well. There was an announcement on how it had become easy for all the employees filing their returns. There was this confusion that, well, maybe this time around you're not supposed to file, that the system will just identify you as employee. They would look at your P9 form and then immediately they would just know exactly the tax deductions you're supposed to make. But that's not the case. But then you realize, Stephen, that for any other person who's employed, because your employer will then present your tax deductions to the taxman carry, and you're also supposed to follow that up as well and confirm that whatever the employer has sent to you is actually what is included. Is it a repetition? Do we expect for that to change in the near future?
Well, based on our end, we have actually simplified the process.
Yeah.
We have a return called ITR for employment income only.
Yes, yes.
Which is a pre-populated functionality that when you actually have your P9, it is just to confirm that whatever information that we have matches the same that what your employer has issued.
Yes.
And it is an ongoing process to ensure that we actually have a unified system to ensure that you may not need to actually have the physical P9 forms.
Yes.
Yeah.
For any other person who's employed, isn't it?
Yes.
But the only thing that you've done, especially when it comes to filing this tax returns for any person who's employed, is that you've made it a bit easier.
Yes.
Because the only thing you're doing with your P9 form is just confirming that the information is correct.
Yes.
Good. So let's talk about this first time tax filing. Then you make a mistake, Stephen. It's bound to happen.
Yeah.
All right. And you might be making a mistake in an area where the system will not be able to correct you, because we know exactly how it is. If you make the wrong entry, the system might be able to identify that. But in some instances, you might make the wrong entry and the system picks that up. As of 30th of June, if I make my tax returns and they go in with an error, then do I have the leeway to come back and correct the information that I gave you?
Yes, you do. One, when you actually file your return and then you realize you have made an error,
yes,
you're allowed to do an amended return.
I see.
Now, when you amend a return, there are two instances. One, if it lowers your tax due, or it actually, if it leads to a credit position, the system will actually require an approval from an officer to ascertain that the amendments that you have done are in line with the procedures. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, but if it actually falls on a payment,
yes,
it will go through because that's revenue.
I see that, isn't it? So within what window should I then make this amended return?
Basically, we would actually recommend that that's the reason why we usually encourage one to file early before June, because sometimes the system you may file and then pay another time. But remember, when you file, there is that aspect of filing,
yes,
and there is an aspect of paying.
Yes.
When you fail to pay before 30th of June, the system still may impose an interest on your side. So would actually encourage that the goal of you filing early is to try to mitigate any other issues that may arise before the due date.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about another criteria or another category of people as well who are listening to you this morning, especially when they're going to start this filing. Is it possible then, when I realize that I have been fined, fantastic, is it possible for me to apply for my penalties to be deducted from my accrued tax refund? Is that possible?
Well, it may not be possible.
Why, Stephen?
Because
yes,
what actually the procedure is,
yes,
you have to like clear all the outstanding debt before now you apply for
a tax refund. A tax refund.
So the system will not offset a pending liability out of a pending refund.
Yes.
No.
Fantastic. It's a direct question as well that I got yesterday from a first-time tax filing candidate that you've got at Accrue as well. Let's understand the figures. Once you've computed your figures at the end, they told me sometimes I see a positive in front of my figure, sometimes I see a negative in front of my figure. So let's understand the signs that you actually get at the end of that tax filing form that you download from the portal. What is a positive? What does it mean? And what does a negative mean? And once I get both numbers, what should be my immediate action as a tax payer?
Now, if you're employed, means that now when you file your return, the system, it should be able to compute and match what we have on our data,
yes,
and what you present upon filing.
Yes.
So the initial aspect that the system should actually balance to ascertain that whatever was deducted was actually paid.
Yes.
In an instance that maybe you may have a positive, means that we call it a balance of tax.
So positive means a balance of tax.
Yes.
Which means what, Stephen?
Means that it is payment
that you have to make as a taxpayer.
You have to make as a taxpayer.
And is it possible that as somebody who's employed, for me to get a balance of tax after I've compiled my figures through the P9 form? Okay.
Once you actually get, if maybe it falls as a payment,
yes,
that could mean that could be a ledger reconciliation issue. And you may need now to follow it up with your tax service office.
Yes.
You present your P9 form, so that now they can actually do a reconciliation to ascertain if that year of income you have only employment income.
Yes.
They'll be able now to sort you out.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next instance now, where there's a negative just in front of my figure. What does that mean as well?
That means a credit. It could mean that maybe in that year of income you are only employed maybe not the full year.
Yes.
And based on our laws, you qualify for the whole year tax relief. So sometimes if your tax relief supersedes your income, the system will actually put you into a credit
yes.
position, which is not, which won't even ask you for anything to pay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Does that mean that when I get to a credit position that I might qualify for tax refund? Is that what it means directly?
If it is, you may apply if it is out of a genuine
yes.
refund.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. Then we got another concern as well, that for students who specifically applied for PINs to get help loans, are they also supposed to apply for a tax return?
Yes. What we usually encourage is, as long as you have a PIN, regardless you're employed
yes.
or not,
yes.
You need to ascertain, to actually file that return, because the system acknowledges that you could be a student, and as long as you're above 18, you could have a business.
Yes.
That being a student doesn't really ascertain that you may not have income. Yeah.
So you pretty much go ahead and apply.
Yes.
And you can apply for a nil tax return
yes.
if you're essentially just a student.
If you have no taxable income,
yes.
you can actually apply for a nil return.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, that's well covered as well. So let's talk about exactly how this particular segment of KRA has been performing in 2020. We do know it has not been bad again in 2021. What would you say has been behind income tax for KRA being among the leading contributors to revenue? Exactly what we saw last year, it was leading by 45%. Do you expect that it's going to be the leading again this year, or VAT and the other portions are really going to overtake it?
Well, maybe we may need to actually see the final report to actually gauge
yes.
which aspect is mostly growth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. But going by how the economy is recovering from the COVID-19 pandemic, you expect that income tax is going to be among the leading ones, just going by how companies have gone back to hirings as well, and probably salaries are up as well.
Yes, we do expect, and based on the filing rate, that is when we'll be able to ascertain.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Stephen, thank you very much for coming to Metropole Television.
Thank you.
I think they listened. They did. Fantastic. Now you do know exactly what it means then for you to start early and why you need to start early. It's saying that even if you start early, then you can actually even make amendments before 30th of June. If your employer is not giving you your P9 form, you can actually go ask for it. If they're preparing for it, then they should be getting done with it so that you can have it and apply or file your tax returns early. It helps. That's according to Stephen this morning, who's a tax expert from KRA. We take a short break. Once we come back, let's question exactly what SGR is and why the contract for SGR, which is taking 60% of our external debt repayments, is non-disclosure, meaning you and I have no detail at all what was included in that contract. Once we come back.